We know you like talking Star Wars. We like talking Star Wars. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. This is The Wars and More.
All right, so we finished off the last podcast with Doug saying, and I quote, "I'll shut up now." Well, I don't want Doug to shut up anymore. We got more Daisy Ridley stuff to talk about. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You done shutting up?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to talk.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You really threw me through a loop with that one.
Sorry. Hey, you know.
But, yeah, so we were talking Daisy Ridley. There was just too much stuff to cover last week.
Yeah. Sorry about the rabbit holes and all that, but, you know.
Oh,
these things happen.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. This is Star Wars. This rabbit holes is our thing.
Yes.
But, yeah, still lots of Daisy Ridley to talk about. She's really been out there right now. One, she's promoting Ophelia.
Right. Yep.
And two, if you're in Star Wars, you can't go anywhere and not talk about Star Wars. People are going to bring it up. It's just what happens.
It's always what happens. Right. So I guess we can probably touch on some of the stuff that we didn't get to last week. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is maybe some of the more, I don't know, lighter-hearted stuff. So Daisy Ridley was on with Jimmy Fallon, and kind of touched on a subject that, you know, I know you hold dear, as that being beer. So,
Oh.
you know, hey,
I like beer.
right? Of course, I like beer too, but you know, so
Way to call me out.
I have to be honest though, I actually did not know that Daisy Ridley worked in a pub, so that's how this was brought up.
Because last time we talked, you told me that you used to work in a pub.
Yeah.
And you know how to pour a pretty decent beer.
I do. I haven't poured one in a while. I was never much one for small talk. I was like, I wanted to just get the thing done.
Yeah, your work.
Like, I like to do my
Good
work.
Yeah, you don't want to socialize.
No.
No, let's
I'm
get
here
down to business.
To pour some pints.
Let's get down some business right now. You want to pour some pints right now?
Absolutely.
Let's do it, pal.
Pour some pints. Nice.
Yeah, so I was on board.
Right. Totally. All right. Yeah, you're wanting to get to the punchline. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
What's the secret to a good pour?
I would say with slightly darker lagers, they're more bitter, so they require more of a head on them because it counteracts with the bitterness of the beer.
Really?
So there's a steady angle,
So you want, okay.
as you well imagine.
You don't turn the cup or anything, right?
No.
Okay.
Just, I haven't done so.
Here we go.
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady when it's ready. Oh no, I feel like I'm I'm too foamy.
Oh my God, I'm actually pretty foamy too.
You are? I might outpour you at this thing. But also, I've been drinking for a lot of years, so I'm really good at this.
Wow.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good, by the way.
That's a big head, but look at that
That's
foaminess.
pretty gorgeous. All right.
There's no, because, yeah, that's pretty good, yeah. Yeah, nice.
Not bad. I think,
I mean, that sort of looks like an old schooly sort of beer.
yeah.
That's a good.
Mine looks like a scented
good pour.
candle or something.
Nice, huh? All right, Joe.
So, obviously, acting has taken over for Daisy here. Yeah, not a great pour.
Right.
To me, Jimmy won this round.
Yep.
And then the other thing was like, she's like, oh, for darker lagers, you need to do this. I'm like, wait. You're English. Why aren't you talking about ales?
Right.
Like English ale. Come on.
Hey.
But yeah, fun skit.
Right.
Fun little bit. But yeah, Daisy, you're out of practice.
Well, I gotta say, for me, I was totally schooled. Right? I learned something new here. This is a term that I had not known before.
I mean, that sort of looks like an old schooly sort of beer.
Old schooly. Gotcha.
Yeah. I think you and I talked about this a little bit, which is like old schooly, meaning like you dunk your mug in the barrel of beer and pull it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would probably look like that.
That's great. I was totally schooled on that though, for sure. I like that new beer term.
Yeah, old schooly.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, I guess when I've had too many beers, I pour old schooly beers all the time.
Yeah, right.
Never when I haven't had too many though. Like,
right. That's funny.
No, I kid. You know, it was in the moment. It was, you know, she's out of practice.
Yeah.
She's been being Ray. I don't expect Ray to be able to pour a beer.
Right. But hey, you know, definitely a fun little skit. That was you know, some of the lighthearted stuff that we didn't quite get to.
Right.
So, but there is lots more Ray.
And I will say,
yeah.
I will say, though I feel I could pour a better beer than Daisy.
Yeah.
I've been watching the movies and things like that. I bet she could definitely kick my ass.
Oh, I'm sure of that. Yeah, absolutely.
So I could pour a better beer, but she could kick my ass.
Right. So, since then, there's been some more Daisy Ridley out and about. So, she was on the Happy Sad Confused podcast with Josh Horowitz, and a couple things that were brought up that were kind of note, and one being he asked her how she felt being new to Star Wars and on the set of Episode 7. So here's what she had to say about that.
I didn't really know anyone yet, and it takes me a really long time to settle down with people. And I do remember being behind the speeder, and there was loads of people there, and somebody had an umbrella over me. And even that, you're like, oh, someone's holding an umbrella over you? Okay. And I remember thinking, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. This is not right.
Do you confide that to anybody at the time, or are you holding that in?
I think it was Steph, who was the AD. I was saying it, but obviously also people don't really know what to say, because what do you say to that? And like, me and JJ hadn't quite got our vibe. Like, the amazing thing about this is JJ would start saying something and I'd be like, I know exactly what you mean.
Right.
Like, just that amazing thing. But even my mum at the premiere of Force Awakens went, I mean, she goes, I'm nervous, but there must be, you know, a reason why they cast you. It's like, thanks, Mum.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, there's tons of reasons why they cast her.
Right.
Yeah. The character Rey. What a great character. I don't know how else to put that.
Right.
Glad she stuck it out, because it sounds like there was a slight chance there that she would have walked away from this.
Right. I gotta be honest, I kind of feel like this is all you know, when you sign on to a project and it has Star Wars main title, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that it's big, right?
Right.
You know there's a lot at stake here. There's, you know, It's not like it's going to be some small endeavor, right? So I think, and she said it to begin with, right? It takes her time to warm up to people, but that coupled with the magnitude of a Star Wars film and knowing, this is something that people have been clamoring for decades, right? I don't know. I mean, I think that's all that it was, really, because I think she's, done now, but I mean, old hat at it, basically. She is Rey, so it's.
So obviously she knew when she signed on that, okay, you're going into Star Wars.
Right.
Once you get into production and you realize what kind of endeavor you're on, because Star Wars now, so this is going to be a completely different experience from like the original trilogy cast.
Right.
They're embarking on something new. There is no baggage that comes along with it.
Right.
Well, another thing for her is you're walking in and you got JJ, who's a fan
and a superstar director.
Yes. So you got those two things already.
Yes.
So he's a fan of Star Wars, and he's this big name director. And Daisy didn't have a ton of credit as far as big screen production goes.
Right.
Prior to Star Wars. So yeah, when you get into this, it's like, whoa, I'm in something here. This is big.
Right.
I got people following me around with umbrellas. Like, whoa.
That, I have to say, that would probably be a little disconcerting for me too.
Yeah, like, you're not used to that. You're not used to someone like, oh, here's some shade.
Right.
It's not like they were following her around with an umbrella because it was raining.
No,
it's because it's hot.
But the thing is, right? So there's different ways of looking at that, right? One, this is my personal space, right? Kind of back off,
Yeah.
Two, maybe she felt like, and I don't know, I'm guessing, but maybe she felt like she didn't deserve that kind of treatment, right? Because who am I to be getting this umbrella, right? But you got to look at it from a production standpoint. You can't have your star getting sunburnt for the next scene, right? So, right. I mean, there's different angles to look at all these things, but I imagine that being there in the moment, it probably felt very odd.
Well, yeah, and then you take what she said with the Fallon interview. She was working in a pub.
Right. Yeah.
You go from that to Star Wars, and not Star Wars in 77 where this was a new project. You got Star Wars now, which it's got a lot going.
Well, yeah. Okay. So episode 7 was
got history,
yeah, but episode 7 was the episode that was never supposed to happen.
Right.
Right. After Revenge of the Sith, it was never supposed to happen. George was what? Oh, you're not going to do it? Okay.
What?
Retired, right? So.
I'm retired.
Yeah. So.
For you.
So, there's so much anticipation built up around it. And I'm sorry, every actor knows how much anticipation there was for this, right? I mean, it's not like it was a big secret. So
yeah, but at the same time, did they? I mean, yeah, okay, you can say it, right?
Yeah,
we've all been in these situations where you can say how important something is,
right?
But until you're in it and you're going through the motions, you don't realize what a big endeavor you're on.
Right.
So I think this was a case of, okay, yeah, she knew. People were saying, okay, it's Star Wars, it's a big deal.
Right.
But until she ended up on set and saw what was going into this and what was going into her,
Right.
I take Daisy as sincere here. She seems like a very modest person.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, she seems, you know, maybe kind of shy at heart.
Yep.
So going into something like this, and you get to this moment where you're in the desert there and you're filming this scene on a speeder, and you got someone following you around with an umbrella.
Uh-huh.
For someone who's modest at heart, that's a lot to take in.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
that while it seems like that's the little things, for someone coming into something so big and not really realizing that they're coming into something that big,
Right.
you know, yeah, you're being followed around with someone with an umbrella. You're a star now. You're a star before it even happens.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a lot to take in.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I definitely take her with that she's being utmost sincere.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Right. So,
And now look at her. You know, she is the star.
oh
Like,
yeah, exactly, and she's owning it. Right. Yeah, now for sure.
but still with that modest kind of what's the word? Almost kind of grace.
Right.
Like that's been the beauty of watching Daisy evolve in this role.
Right.
Because in a lot of ways she's almost kind of a lot like Rey.
Oh yeah.
You know, come up from modest life to this.
Right.
So that definitely comes through.
Yeah, for sure. So, in this same interview, Josh Horowitz asked her about the title of episode 9, and which we all know is the Rise of Skywalker, and the theory that a lot of fans have that it's got some sort of meaning. You know, the name Skywalker will be some sort of evolution of what Jedi are moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked her thoughts on that theory, and she said,
Okay. I mean, yeah, that sounds like a great thing. What do you think?
The more I listen to that argument,
Yeah.
that makes sense to me.
I mean, and JJ, I think, did sort of say as much, right? He said it represents a lot of different things.
Right.
It's interesting because he told me the title and I was like, oh, because he'd sort of been throwing around things when we were filming. And then he told me when I went to LA and saw just before Chicago, and saw the trailer. And I was like, oh, okay.
So it kind of made sense to you the more you thought about it? Like,
Yeah,
or,
but even John and people were like, oh, it was, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
Interesting.
And I would agree that it represents a lot of things. Yeah, I don't know. I think it will be one of those things that it's sort of the last few lines of the film and people are like, yeah.
yeah,
Channeling her inner Mark Hamill right there.
right.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah.
It maybe possibly somewhat focus around that.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing here, and granted, JJ has said almost virtually this exact thing, and she might just have heard it and is repeating it, but it's a couple times now that I'm hearing this, so I'm going to point it out. The Rise of Skywalker, the title, can mean many different things or represents many different things. So what I'm getting here is a real from a certain point of view vibe
Right.
on the title. So if you're looking at it from I don't know. I don't know. I'm guessing, right? It could be a Luke resurrection thing, or it could be as of right now, the only Skywalker in name that we have, well, is no one actually. So maybe somehow, some way that changes. It could mean the new name for Jedi is a Skywalker. Maybe all of the above. But this is what it's kind of what I'm hearing, is that there's going to be many different ways you can look at that title and have it apply.
Yeah, and I mean, she says that little bit, like the last few words at the end of the film.
Right.
So, yeah, maybe it's something that you can kind of take away from it.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not explicit in nature that that's what it means, but it's definitely going to fuel that fire.
Right.
Makes me kind of wonder, are we going to get a closure we think we're going to get?
Yeah, I know. I think we've been hearing a lot lately that we are, we're going to get answers that we have been longing for here. But, are they going to be answers, direct answers, right? Or are they going to be things that can be interpreted and
Yeah.
Right,
that word again.
Yeah, I know. Not gonna just say it again. But you know what I mean, right? So it's hard to say. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Well, if I know J.J. Abrams, I'm going to go with it's going to be an interpretation thing.
Right.
We're not going to get a solid answer. While it's going to lean a certain way, I don't think it's going to be definitive. You got to leave it open for more movies, man.
Well, hey, this is supposed to close them all out, so...
Yeah, but does it?
Well, for the Skywalker saga, it's supposed to.
They say a lot of things.
Yeah, well, I don't know. This is what we've been led to believe so far, so... I really...
Well, I mean, you pointed this out earlier. We've been led to believe a lot of things in Star Wars. Like, I'm retired!
Yeah, there's that. Well, yeah.
And then you find out that he was actually working on it.
Right.
So, just saying.
Of course, it is helpful to have projects like in progress when you're trying to sell a big business like that. So, just throw that out there. So
I'm retired, but there's $4 billion on the table.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So there's one more clip I have of Daisy from that interview, but it kind of ties into something that was brought up last week. So I think we're going to kind of tie these together. So I'm going to go with this article from comicbook.com first. Daisy was asked about if she was surprised with the backlash from The Last Jedi. So what she had to say was, I wasn't surprised, no. It's just a different thing. Everyone's going to have an opinion now anyway on the internet, but I also think it's fair. If people hold something incredibly dear and think they know how it should be and it's not like that, it's fair for people to think they were done wrong. It doesn't mean they were. Unfortunately, Rian Johnson is a filmmaker and one person can't dictate how a film is supposed to be. But freedom of expression? Sure. I read that and I thought, wow, what a level-headed level-headed way to look at all this. So,
For sure.
I was impressed with that paragraph in that article right there, and of Daisy Ridley's, I don't know how you put it, but her balanced way of looking at it, I guess. She later on, I think, or in there, I don't know, she says, expresses she doesn't necessarily agree that there should have been this backlash, but hey, if you didn't like it, you can speak on the internet. It's your freedom of expression. It's fair, right? It's not, I don't know, it's not the end of the world, right? It's, I don't know. Like I said,
Well,
level-headed way to look at it.
yeah, I'll say this. This is not something I've backed with her character. But wow, that is a very gray Jedi way of looking at it.
Right.
You know, and I definitely respect this because she's saying, look, there are people that didn't like it. And there are people that have complaints that are very justified. You know, when you hold something that close to your heart, you're going to have an opinion.
Right.
And she's basically saying there's nothing wrong with having an opinion.
Exactly.
And I like that.
Yep. I like it a lot too.
But she's also saying, while Rian Johnson's path wasn't what a lot of people might have saw, he's still a creator and an artist. And that's not, you know, him taking those artistic liberties. It's not necessarily wrong either.
Right.
So there's a middle ground here to be found.
For sure.
I mean, as someone who doesn't hate The Last Jedi, I don't hate it. I really like this approach.
Yeah, me too.
Now, that being said, I'm not the most gigantic fan of everything that happened in The Last Jedi.
Right.
But Daisy's telling me here, too, that that's okay, too.
Right. Exactly.
And it's beautiful. It's look, we're all Star Wars fans.
Yep.
We understand that there's differing opinions in Star Wars. We've been dealing with this for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
And it's very relieving to see that one of your prime actors in this gets it too.
Right.
She's saying, look, you're not wrong for being upset about something that you hold so dear. But at the same time, that doesn't mean the other guy's wrong.
Right.
Or doing what he did.
Right.
And I have no doubt, Rian Johnson is a Star Wars fan.
Exactly.
He just saw things a little different than the rest of us.
Yep.
And I shouldn't say the rest of us. Then
some of us. Probably.
Some of us.
Yeah. Maybe half of us, right? Something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then some of us is the best way to put it, I think.
Yeah.
And a lot of those focus around Luke.
Yep.
But whatever. What's done is done.
Well, so what I'd like to do now is go back to the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast that she had this interview with Josh Horowitz on. And he brings up the topic of the controversies of The Last Jedi and asks her if, you know, with the complete knowledge she has of episode 9, is there anything that she could foresee being like the thing in the plot or in the storyline that will be the topic of controversy moving forward?
I can't. I think it's really great. I really do. Because you've got Chris Terrio, I'm not kidding, who had like Star Wars Bibles. He was doing his work. Like everything is so linked and it works in the universe and all of the things. Like he did proper nerd homework. Like he dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's.
I gotta say, proper nerd homework sounds awful good to me. I like that.
Yeah.
So, I guess this means that there's nothing jumping out at her, anyway, that would imply that there's going to be some sort of a quote-unquote backlash, again, with this film, so...
Right, and it's easy for her to say, like, look, he had these creative differences, but that's not saying he's wrong.
Right.
Well, you know the whole story. And I really hope that the whole story makes this all feel uniform and right.
Exactly.
That there is nothing that rubs us the wrong way.
Right. In varying degrees, you and I have both been saying this for a while now, right? Let's wait for episode 9 and see if how we feel about episode 8 after episode 9's out, right? So that's something that I think is going to, I think we should all do as fans, is reflect back on the prior episode to see, just how it's affected by the new film when it comes out. I think, this whole backlash thing might be, I don't know. Premature, maybe a forgotten blip on the whole storyline, when it's all said and done.
Right.
It all might make sense in the end, right? And that's what I'm hoping for. So.
Well, that's very possible.
Yeah.
It's, the conclusion of a 3-part story.
Right.
And the middle part never makes sense until the 3rd part's out. Ever.
Yeah, I mean, that can be argued to varying degrees, but I do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I still feel like, it can be argued at varying degrees, but most of the time, if there's a 3rd part to that movie or that story, it makes the 2nd part that much better.
Yes.
2nd part usually benefits from the story of the 3rd part.
Right.
And that's more often than not.
We can only hope that that's going to be the case when episode 9 comes out.
Absolutely. Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsandMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsandMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, so we did get some pretty big news this week. We got a first look at the Sith Trooper.
Yes, we did.
So, first take, what do you think looking at this?
Well, I got to be honest. First thing that popped into my head was the character from the Phasma book, Cardinal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, from from that book, I got the impression that he was the one red suited stormtrooper. So, now granted, all of that took place long before episode 9 will. So,
Right.
you know, but it seems as though the different colored stormtrooper armor, right? Phasma's chrome, Pyre's gold, Cardinal's red, was some sort of individualized designation, you know, of some sort of rank. And just getting this, you know, they're calling these Sith Trooper as like a generalized term. It kind of implies that there's going to be many in my mind.
Yes. Like this will be its own, you know, division.
Right.
Now, I've seen a lot of first responses from people, and it's your standard, oh, so they took a First Order Stormtrooper and painted him red. Woo.
Right.
Now, I'll say this. There's more to it than that.
Okay.
I mean, if you dive in and look at this armor, and one, the texture of the armor really stands out.
Okay.
There's a lot of texture to it, a lot of lines. It's not smooth like, you know, all your Stormtrooper armor.
Okay.
Are you seeing this, or?
I didn't pick it up, so I'm actually kind of pulling it up here.
Okay. So there's a lot more detail to the armor. There's a lot of added lines and textures and things like that. So I think that makes it kind of look cool.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying, I think.
You see all the like vertical lines on the helmet and things like that?
Yeah, yeah. So things are a little more angular as opposed to rounded off.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Once you get down to like the leg plates and stuff like that, it looks a little more standard.
Yeah, but I can, you know, and maybe it's just the way the light's reflecting on it, but I can kind of see it there too.
Yeah, there's more edges.
Right.
So I dig that look.
Yeah, I would agree.
What this, you know, means, I don't know. You know,
well,
if they're just looking for a more stylized trooper, I guess they nailed it.
Yeah. When you ask what this means, there are many who are asking, you know, how does this relate to the Sith Trooper maybe in KOTOR?
Well, if I'm going to be honest, it probably don't.
Right.
It may be a fun little nod.
I hope.
But whether or not you're going to get any tangible relation in the story as to why they are there, why they call them Sith Troopers, I doubt you'll hear anything like that.
Right.
I doubt you'll get a connection to the Sith Troopers of old.
See, I don't know. I would like, and I don't know how they would convey it to us in a movie, but I would like to think that maybe this was Kylo Ren's way of trying to resurrect something from the past as far as, you know, the Sith of old goes, right?
Well, yeah, and he definitely has a love affair with the past.
Right.
You know, those who came before him. Particularly Vader.
Well, yeah. Now, I don't know if I'd call it a love affair with the past because he's wanting to kill it, right? Let the past die.
Is he really?
That's the thing. He's really not. But that's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying to Rey. He's trying to manipulate Rey.
Right.
And you know that's like, you know, Vader was constantly saying, you know, we can destroy the Emperor, and you know we can do this. It never really crossed his mind until Luke was about to die. like for real, you know. He talked about it, never really made any moves to kind of act upon that. Like even in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin was talking about, I can overthrow him.
Right. After the events of Revenge of the Sith, I don't think he thought he could actually overthrow him until Luke came along.
Right. Okay. I can see
I
that.
think he was thinking that together they could do that. Because he mentioned it in Empire and in Jedi. So.
Yeah. So you really think there'll be a connection? Like in universe mention of that? Even though that is Legends material?
I don't know. I honestly really couldn't say. I would like to think that they would have some sort of something, okay, that would kind of harken back to that, right? Like, so okay. We were talking a little bit before recording about this, and there are some who, in seeing this new Sith Trooper, are saying, that's not a Sith Trooper. And pulling up these pictures from Knights of the Old Republic, saying, this is a Sith Trooper. Now, I think we both agree, and you said as much, that we wouldn't want to see like a rehash of that old KOTOR armor, right?
Right.
But I could see maybe if you had like a silhouette of the helmet kind of thing,
Right.
stamped on this new armor, like on the shoulder or something like that. Kind of like a Spartan helmet's used now, like in real life for whatever kind of military factions and whatnot,
Right.
Different squads or whatever. So I think that would kind of work, because that would be like one of those little Easter eggs that, certain hardcore fans would pick up on and be like, oh, I know what that is. Right.
Right.
And there would have to be no explanation that goes along with it.
Okay.
Maybe they'll have something like that that's different from what I'm thinking. But
And so normally an idea like that I would dismiss, because that gives, Star Wars kind of a real world kind of likeness that I don't necessarily like seeing a lot of. I like to see Star Wars be in, very out of this world.
okay,
Not have a ton of like tangible connections to real life.
okay,
But the markings on like a unit of soldier, like you said, like a Spartan helmet kind of deal, something
Right.
like that, like a Punisher logo,
right, yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
Something like that.
Yep.
We've already had that in universe
With the clones,
with the clones, with the Wolfpack
For
clones,
sure.
and then you were going to be seeing that again coming up in the newest season of the Clone Wars with the Ahsoka markings on the troopers that stay with her.
yes,
So this is something that is in universe. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing something like that.
right. And like I said, maybe they're going to do something like that in a different way, because it's not obvious on the pictures that we've seen.
Right.
But you never know. I mean, and like I said, maybe it's something completely different. Maybe there's some mention of it. I could see, Hux grumbling to somebody else, Kylo Ren and his devotion to the, Sith of thousands of years ago, blah, 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 whatever, who knows, but, on the other hand, maybe there'll be none of that. And, just the name itself is what they're going to count on to, harken back to that, or it's going to have some other meaning altogether. A Sith Trooper,
Right.
something that's brand new. And if that's the case, I hope it's damn good.
Yeah. Well, I really wouldn't hold my breath to see it being a nod to the Knights of the Old Republic.
Right.
Like I said, I just wouldn't hold my breath. It's just not something they do very much of. They give nods, they name something a certain way because it's like an homage to the Legends material.
Right.
They don't really do stuff that kind of canonizes that.
Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they pull from that,
Yeah.
man. I mean, I just hope that it's not something that's going to be kind of left languishing, like leaves some people feeling like, man, you could have done so much more with that,
Right.
That's all I'm hoping. I'm hoping that if there's an opportunity, they're taking the opportunity to give that little wink and a nod,
Right.
to those.
And if they
who know.
do something that like moderately canonizes the Sith Troopers of old,
Right.
I mean, the armor update definitely makes sense at that point because, I mean, you don't want to see them show up in what was the Old Republic like? Some 4,000 years.
Yeah, I'm not even sure, but yeah, it's thousands of years ago. That much I know.
I think it was somewhere around 4,000.
Right.
So that would, and this isn't even going far enough back, but that would be like putting, the Greek armor from Alexander the Great's forces on SEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
Like it would be ludicrous.
Right. But
So,
but you do see those guys with patches of Spartan helmets on their shoulders.
exactly.
You know what
So-
I'm saying? That's
yeah.
what I'm getting at. So, I something like that I think would be cool. Or if
Yeah, they named some of their weapons like javelin, like,
right.
even though even though it doesn't really mimic a javelin at all.
Right.
Hey, it's a missile that shoots straight up in the air.
Yeah. But it could even be done if, let's say we have Kylo Ren addressing this new elite group of stormtroopers for the first time. I've handpicked each and every one of you because you are the best.
Do you think this is a division that's assembled by Kylo Ren, or do you think it's...
If it's not, then who is calling him a Sith Trooper? And why? It must
would this be... Well, the red armor just makes me think of Snoke, just because Snoke's elite guard were red garbed. So, like, I kind of wonder if this is something Snoke had, and maybe they're not loyal to Kylo Ren.
At this point in the game, I kind of don't want to hear the name Snoke. I'm serious. He's gone. He's done. Right? That ship has sailed.
Yeah, but I mean, would it be that crazy for some remnants to still be loyal to him?
So what then? Are they going to join the rebellion?
No.
I mean, man, this
They'd
just
be
seems
loyal
like,
they'd be loyal to Snoke's imperative as opposed to Kylo's.
this just seems like it could muddy up the water real quick for me in plot. I don't know.
Well, it kind of happens when you kill a leader.
No, I get it, but this movie is going to take place sometime after the events of Episode 8, and supposedly, from what we hear, things are supposedly kind of settled down, right?
Oh.
Kylo's in charge.
See, I'd almost like to see some factionalism from within the First Order.
I think we will in the high ranks.
And just because, and if only for the fact that some kind of, fractional, stuff going on within the First Order would buy the Resistance time. Like, so the whole reason they're not being hunted down and finished off is because the First Order's busy.
fighting amongst itself, basically.
Yes. Because the death of Snoke and the Snoke loyalists versus those who accept Kylo Ren as a new leader are fighting amongst themselves. Very Roman.
True, but I could also see that playing out, like I said, amongst the high ranking First Order members, more so than the at the troop level. I don't know.
And I do say this, like they say Sith Trooper, they don't say First Order Sith Trooper on any of this stuff.
Oh, you got a point.
Like a lot of times you see this merchandise revealed and it'll say First Order Flame Trooper.
Right.
Like all the Imperial stuff, it would say like, Imperial Walker Pilot.
Right.
This doesn't say that. It says Sith Trooper. Like this is separate from the First Order.
So maybe, how do I put this? Maybe these guys are loyal to Palpatine in some way.
Like maybe Palpatine was able to kind of round this up with Snoke's death.
Right. I would buy that more so than having Snoke be involved.
Well, I'm not saying that Snoke would be involved.
Right, but I mean, even his past involvement.
Right. Okay.
I think it's got to be more Palpatine than Snoke, because we've already, we hear the laugh in the trailer, and we've already heard that Palpatine, in some form or fashion, is going to have some sort of a role to play in all this.
Yeah. I just see that whole, this breaking off into different factions being so, what's the word I'm looking for? Realistic.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, you never, when you have a faction like the First Order, and you have a usurper, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to fall in line just like that. You're going to have people that were loyal to the old order, the old system. They're just not going to fall in line.
Well, that was clearly evident, like, in the throne room.
Even with Hux,
Right.
So Hux wasn't ready to just fall in line. I mean, it took him getting thrown up against,
Right. So yeah, he gets thrown against the bulkhead in the ship on Crate. Yes. For the moment, I think Hux was, going to be subservient. I don't think in a million years Hux is really loyal to Kylo Ren.
Right.
They were adversarial since Episode 7.
Yes.
So, I'll buy Hux vying for power, but if he's in control of the Sith Troopers, I don't know, man.
Like I said, I think I know you just really don't want the Snoke name to be involved in any of this, but I think he would be able to easily round up the loyalists to Snoke.
That I could see. And if some of those are the Sith Troopers, fine. But it kind of contradicts who would be loyal in that equation to, the actual Force user and who's not.
Right. And the other reason I kind of lean towards all that stuff is because if Kylo Ren was telling even a shred of truth to Rey, he doesn't believe in the Sith. As he doesn't fancy himself a Sith.
Right.
Like, while he wants to finish what his grandfather started, he's thinking beyond those titles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I also kind of believe that they're just titles because, it's how you interact with people and how you approach using the Force that, he even says it to the Vader mask, right? I feel the pull of the light.
Yeah.
He's acknowledging that there's a light and a dark, right? So doesn't matter what you call it. It's still light and dark. It's still Jedi Sith.
Yeah, but so while I understand what you're saying right there, and I know I'm just dredging up Legends material here, there were plenty of Darksiders around the galaxy.
Yes.
But to be a Sith, especially in the time of like Palpatine and Vader and things like that, is you had to be descended from the Bane line.
Okay.
In order to be a true Sith.
Right.
Otherwise they were considered pretenders.
Right.
They weren't actual Sith. So to be a Sith in that time period, you had to get that training from, a master in the Bane line. You couldn't just show up, okay, I'm a Darksider. I've pledged my allegiance to the dark side, now I'm a Sith.
Right.
That's not how it worked.
Right.
The Sith was a literal faction.
Yes. But...
And you had to be anointed into that faction.
Yes, but I honestly don't think we're going to go anywhere near all of that in this movie.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I mean...
maybe now it's just going to be the Sith are the Darksiders, period.
Right. Well, I just don't know if they're going to get into all that. I think if you're going to have Sith troopers, I think they got to be working for Kylo Ren. I think they got to be his, elite troopers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Much like Snoke had his Praetorian Guard, right? And I could see, how about this? Kylo has Sith troopers, and he's also got the Knights of Ren, who maybe he plays off of each other for his favor.
Okay.
Maybe one is more, obviously the Sith troopers, I think, would be more of an organized group, military, whereas the Knights of Ren would be more mercenary. I don't know. I think if they're Sith troopers, they've got to be working for Ren.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
And hopefully,
yeah,
it's a nod to the past. If not, maybe they're counting on just the name being the nod to the past. And if that's the case, then they might be falling just a hair short.
Well, yeah, I'd agree with that. I would definitely agree with that because sometimes it's not enough just to name something a certain way.
Right.
If they would have just brought in a human and named him Thrawn, it'd have been like, well, what the hell?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah. Yeah. There's, you're right. Yes. There are certain things, even like I said, even if it's as simple as Kylo Ren saying, I've chosen each of you because you are the best of the best. And I am going to resurrect this elite guard from the past, and you are going to spearhead it, Oh, okay.
Right.
That's what it is. That, he just said it. That'd be enough for me. Maybe not for everybody, but that'd be enough for me. But.
Well, I can tell you one thing with absolute certainty. That wouldn't be enough for everybody.
Oh, yeah. True. Yeah.
I mean, there's a good portion of people that you can't call this Sith troopers unless Revan shows up.
Right. Well, yeah, let's not get crazy now.
Yeah, he's like over 4,000 years old, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, so earlier in the show, we did hear Daisy Ridley say, they were doing their nerd homework and crossing their T's and dotting their I's, so we can only hope, right?
Yeah, so in the Old Republic video game,
yep,
Revan lived a long time.
Uh-huh.
I'll just say that. Like, he lived a damn long time.
Okay.
So it's possible. And in the game, they refer to the Emperor of the Emperor of the Sith.
Yep.
And of the Sith Empire, rather. And they mention that he is over 1,000 years old. So
Okay.
I guess they could pretty much do anything.
They
They
could.
would kind of undermine Plagueis a little bit.
Right.
Plagueis, who is canon.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I don't know. We'll
it's
see.
kind of his claim to fame that, he was going to be the one to figure out how to prevent himself from dying.
Right. Till Sidious killed him. But,
Yeah, I've been re-listening to that book.
have you?
Yes. That's such a good book.
That might be worth doing again here.
It is so good. I'd really like to make the Plagueis novel canon. If
Right.
there's any of the old material to make canon, that's one of them.
Right. For sure.
All right. Yeah, Sith Trooper. We'll be paying attention.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll find out more information as we get closer to the film.
Right.
Especially since it's got a lot of attention.
That it has. We'll see how it plays out.
All right. So there is a phrase going around that really kind of drives me nuts.
Okay. What's that, Joe?
And it's because we keep hearing it over and over and over again. And that phrase is franchise fatigue.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we talk about this, especially every time we get close to a new Star Wars release.
At least as of late, yes.
Because we don't hear about franchise fatigue right before Endgame's about to come out,
No.
they don't do that.
No.
But it's like, okay, the next big franchise film coming out is Star Wars. So, okay, it's time to talk about franchise fatigue.
Right.
Like, we didn't even talk about it back when, Star Trek was coming out.
Nope.
Beyond, which was, in comparison to what Star Trek had done, Beyond was a flop.
Right.
But we didn't talk about franchise fatigue when that happened.
Nope.
When the third Hobbit movie was coming out, we didn't go, oh, franchise fatigue. I can keep going, Harry Potter, and keep going,
Right.
we didn't do this then. We only seem to do it every time a Star Wars film's coming out. And it just really kind of grinds my gears.
I get it. So, okay. There was a lot of talk about this around the release of Solo, right?
Right.
Okay, so
There was talk about it, even when it was kind of funny to me because you kind of started hearing about franchise fatigue with The Force Awakens. It's like, are you serious right now? Like, this is a franchise that hasn't been doing anything for a while as far as in the cinemas.
right. Well,
And then it went and broke records.
yeah, exactly. So when they're talking about this, just to be fair, I am, hold on, reading from this article in The Guardian where they're talking about this. It says, analysts suggest film fans have grown tired of the number of franchise releases over the period. Men in Black International, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, and the Lego Movie 2, the second part, were all released in the first half and failed to live up to expectations. So, all I have to say is, not one of those is Star Wars. and
No,
as,
no,
and,
but
and as
that's
of
the
late,
thing.
not Marvel either. So,
Right.
I mean, so I'm sorry, but when was the last Men in Black made? You know what I'm saying? They're working on another Bill and Ted.
Exactly.
Are we? In some ways, I think what fans are looking at is, is this really worthy of doing another one? Right? I mean, how about some original ideas, right? I think that's what people are looking for. When it comes to Star Wars, they kind of know what they're in for, right? It's this whole space fantasy world, okay? The Men in Black stuff, it was funny, adventurous, but it was not anything near comparison to what a Star Wars would be, right? Or a Lord of the Rings, or even the Marvel Universe, okay?
Right. But so I just want to interject a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, you look at the titles that they're throwing out here. Okay, Men in Black International, right?
Right.
Okay, this Men in Black didn't do well, right?
Right.
Will Smith's not in it.
Agreed.
So
yes.
Will Smith is the face of this franchise, and he wasn't in it, and it flopped.
Right.
Big surprise.
Right.
Okay. Godzilla. Godzilla has never been a huge franchise market. It's
niche.
Kind of niche.
Yes.
Market.
Yep.
Okay. How to Train Your Dragon. Okay, I don't know how many adults are like, oh, I gotta go see the new How to Train Your Dragon.
Right.
You know, like, so the Lego movie is in that same ballpark.
Right. Those
how many adults are like, oh my God, I gotta go see Lego movie?
No, that is, hey, there's nothing going on today. I don't know. Hey, wait a minute. Want to go see a movie? What's playing? Yep,
So-
let's take the kids. That's what that's
Like-
about.
Like, you look at this list, and okay, if you were gonna try and make a case to me, why isn't X-Men Dark Phoenix in here?
Right.
Okay, you put that in there, now it makes a case to me.
Agreed.
But they don't want to put that in there because Marvel isn't hurting. Fox Marvel's hurting,
Right.
and it always has. The X-Men movies have all underwhelmed.
Yep.
Okay, so that doesn't make the list. They're putting this list together with the sole purpose of firing up people right before a Star Wars movie comes out. This is what they do.
Yeah, I get it.
And this is very poor reporting, in my opinion. Because, like I said, you look at these titles; these are very targeted, franchises.
Right.
If to use that term, okay. I mean, How to Train Your Dragon. Where is it in the top 10 of all-time movie releases?
It ain't there.
Wait, it ain't there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you were doing this, like I said, with Endgame, if Endgame would have underwhelmed at the box office, I'd buy this argument.
Right.
But it didn't. It killed it.
Yeah.
So that's why this franchise fatigue crap really pisses me off.
I would have to agree with you 100%. They are being very selective on what they're picking to make their point here.
Right. Put out another Lord of the Rings and it underwhelms, then I'll be sold. Put out another Avengers and it underwhelms, I'll be sold.
Right.
You're not doing that. That you are literally, to make your case, picking franchises that most people could give less of a damn.
Right.
Like, and I say that, I say that kind of begrudging because I like Godzilla.
Sure. Yeah.
But I know, like, I've seen plenty of Godzilla movies in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And never did I sit in a packed theater to see Godzilla. It
Right.
never happened.
Right.
Not once.
Exactly. My question is this.
So good job on the clickbait, Guardian.
Well, where's the franchise fatigue with the Fast and Furious films, right?
Yeah, they're making another one.
Exactly. So let's be real about it. I mean, if you're making good stories, people are going to go see them. That's just the way it is. I mean, for whatever flaws there might have been in even stuff like, because personally, I've seen it, Endgame, there were things that I wasn't crazy about in it. But it was still a good movie. Okay? And for the masses, obviously, they loved it. So, I mean, if
well,
people
it was
wouldn't have-
re-released and it's still recording numbers in the millions.
Right.
So, yeah, franchise fatigue's totally a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just they're being so selective when they say this, and like I said, that it really cracks me up because they really choose when they're going to make this argument, and it always seems to be right before Star Wars is about to come out.
So, okay. That being said, I would like to say something that could be a little touchy, I guess.
Yep.
Because I've had this feeling for a long time, and just going to come out and say it, right? So it feels to me like there are those out there who don't like how Star Wars fans are so precious with Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
And they'll put things like this out there to try and convert people to not be so precious with Star Wars, to make it, I don't know. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but to kind of almost water down the fan base, if that makes sense. I don't. It's hard to actually put into words what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to sound like I'm, some hater of people who don't like Star Wars. Yeah, I love lots of people who don't like Star Wars. Okay, but there are those who just want Star Wars to be another thing, when it's the wars, man, I don't know.
Right, but so like you talk about the Guardian article, and I've got the Fantha Tracks, shortened version up,
Right.
and you look at the end of the Fantha Tracks article, and then it says this, and the reason they're making this comparison is because they're comparing 2018 to 2019 so far.
Right. Yes.
Okay. And it says the success of the 2018 cinema season attributed in no small part to the box office clout of The Last Jedi
Right.
and the seemingly bulletproof Marvel franchise. So, like, in there you are saying, okay, so the article's about franchise fatigue. And then you say the bulletproof Marvel franchise.
Which kind of contradicts your whole point, doesn't it?
Yeah, it contradicts the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
It's like I said, you pick Men in Black, Godzilla, How to Train Your Dragon, and the Lego Movie, and you try to make your case. Well, if that's the source you're using for your case is BS.
Right.
Because you don't put Endgame in there. So, okay, yeah, right now, the total 2019 box office is lagging compared to 2018.
Right.
But 2018 saw, Black Panther.
Yep.
It saw Infinity War.
Yep.
It saw The Last Jedi.
Right.
How many blockbuster films have hit in 2018?
Blockbuster franchise films.
Right.
I mean, those were the things that everybody was looking forward to.
So far you've had Endgame, right?
Right.
Which did pretty damn well. Not on the list.
I was going to say understatement. Yeah, go ahead.
From what I've seen, Homecoming's doing pretty good.
Yeah, seen it, actually. Good movie.
So it's doing well.
Yep.
But no, we're going to talk Men in Black. I hate to break it to you, but the star of Men in Black, Will Smith,
Right.
Aladdin did pretty damn good.
Yeah. Hey.
So, like I said, clickbait. I hope you made lots of ad revenue.
Yeah. I
Whatever.
think you're right. I think you're right because, if I have to believe that what you're saying there is exactly what it was all about. Clickbait. Otherwise, what you have is somebody writing an article who is trying to just cause problems and stir up the water. You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
just it doesn't make sense.
Like I said, I just read off some of the movies that came out in 2018 compared to 2019 so far. And it's literally no surprise that 2019 is not caught up yet.
Right.
Because, yeah, you're swinging light.
Yep.
You're swinging light. And I'd love to see what happens by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then, like, even if Star Wars doesn't do as well as projected, is
Right.
it actually franchise fatigue? I don't get it. I don't buy it.
Again, with episode 8, okay, opinions have been divided about, whether or not it was quote unquote good, right? And that can be whether you think it's good or not. There can be many different facets that play into why, right? But you and I have both been saying for a long, long time now, we are going to reserve judgment on episode 8 until we can see episode 9 and how it relates to episode 8. It could elevate episode 8 to stellar status, right? And if episode 9 does this, I have a feeling it's going to blow out the box office.
Right. And, okay, so you look at what happened with Solo, right?
Right.
It gets a lot of backlash for trolls or whatever, right?
Right.
But, okay, let's look at the facts. There were a lot of people saying, we didn't like The Last Jedi. We're boycotting Solo. We're not going to see it. And then Solo underwhelmed.
Right.
Okay. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Whether The Last Jedi had any real impact on that, or whether it was just the casual fan, lack of marketing, whatever. Because there's no debating that the marketing was crap.
True.
So there are tons of factors that could be the reason why Solo underwhelmed.
Yep.
But so that same online movement, right, that you saw about The Last Jedi and not going to go see Solo, look at them right now. Their opinion is that JJ was brought in to, quote, save the franchise.
Right.
I have a feeling The Rise of Skywalker is going to do just fine.
So do I, honestly.
Now, if you end up with the same reaction to the Rise of Skywalker that you did The Last Jedi, well, the future doesn't look as bright for Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Not that I agree with any of that. I'm just pointing out the way I see it.
Right.
Because I'm still in the camp. I like the film overall.
Right.
Is it my favorite? Hell no. But I didn't hate it.
Exactly.
Hell, I saw it 3 times.
Yeah. Hey.
Four, my bad. 4 times. Now, I saw The Force Awakens 5 times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I think
But hell, I saw Solo 3 times.
nice.
Those all being in theater.
Right on.
I've seen all those movies many more times than
I was
that
gonna
since
say,
it's come
yeah.
out on Blu-ray. I stopped counting after a while.
Right.
Because, I mean, hell, I watched Solo just last week, and it's not a bad movie.
Right.
If you haven't seen it yet, you should really give it a chance.
Yeah.
But I followed your advice. I ended up watching Rogue One again.
Oh, yeah.
That is a really good film.
It is a really good movie. Yeah.
So, but yeah, basically, franchise fatigue. Yeah, that phrase pisses me off.
Right. Like I said, franchise or not, if the story's there, people will come. If it's a good story, and if it's
you have to build it.
Huh?
That's the saying. You have to build it. If
Right.
you build it, they will come. If
Absolutely.
you don't build it, they don't come.
Right. Yep. Agreed. 100%.
If Men in Black International had Will Smith and it failed, yeah, I'd probably buy that one a little more.
Right.
But it don't.
Right.
It's got Liam Neeson though, don't it?
It might. I don't remember, but
So Qui-Gon's in it.
yeah, quite. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. Hey, I don't know. I'm just, one thing's for sure. I'm going to have my kids watch both Bill and Ted movies, and we will be going to see the third when it comes out.
Yeah, that's one that so I really enjoyed the first one. You want to hear something funny? I've never seen the second Bill and Ted.
No Bogus Journey? Oh, come on.
I've never seen Bogus Journey. So I was at bowling a few weeks ago, and one of my friends said, "Dude, I will loan this to you. You need to see this film."
Yeah.
I was like, "Is it as good as the first one?" He's like, "No, but it's good."
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I need to see that, and I'm definitely interested in seeing how they do Bill and Ted so much later.
Right.
Like, how does this all translate now that they're older?
Well,
because the Bill and Ted, the movie I've seen, the first Bill and Ted movie, was very much relatable because of their youth.
oh yeah, totally. Same for me.
So you really bought it, the youth and the whole band thing.
Yep. Totally.
But yeah, I haven't seen Bogus Journey. I need to do that.
You do need to do that, and I don't know. Somehow or another, I think it's going to have something to do with the time machine. How's that?
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. Sadly, no George Carlin, but hey,
Yeah, it's what it is, though, right? I mean,
Right.
that's one thing I was thinking about with the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah.
It's like, man, what's a Jay and Silent Bob movie going to be like without George Carlin?
Right.
I mean, I know he wasn't in all of them, but he was in a lot.
Right. Right.
And he ended up becoming kind of a staple later on, especially in Dogma.
Yeah. Totally. He was great in Dogma.
Dogma was just great. So, man, we've really gone off the Star Wars track.
Yeah,
here.
we sure have.
All right, one last thing.
Okay.
Okay, let's wrap this up, and I can't see a more fitting way to wrap it up than, hey, Mark Hamill's back out there.
Oh, good.
This guy is he's always out there, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
But so he got, and I know this may be shocking to some people, so he was on Twitter.
You don't say.
And he ended up getting drawn into talking about what blue milk and green milk tasted like.
Oh.
So he actually had to drink this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a movie, so hey, they had to make it look a certain way because it, had to look good on screen.
Right.
The taste really wasn't forefront in their mind.
Right.
So let's start with blue milk.
Okay.
So Mark says, blue milk was long life milk used by campers because no refrigeration is needed, with blue food coloring.
Oh. Okay.
Oily, warm, and slightly sweet. It literally made me gag. But I was determined to drink it on camera. It was an acting challenge to appear as though I enjoyed it.
That's funny.
So I'm gonna tell you this, like I gotta give props to Mark Hamill here, because I'll tell you what, me personally, if I taste something I don't like, yeah, you're gonna see it.
Yeah, exactly.
So good work on his part for selling that this stuff actually tasted good.
Right. And I gotta say, what the stuff he's talking about them using, this long life milk stuff or whatever, used for camping, kind of makes sense for where they were shooting at. Out in Tunisia, doesn't require refrigeration. It's kind of a necessity out there,
Yeah.
So, okay, makes sense. Slightly sweet, make you want to gag. Gotcha. Yeah.
I think the part that probably made him like, well, first off, warm milk.
Warm, yeah. Oily.
I know they say that, like, they make the comments that warm milk will help you sleep,
Right.
Yeah, I can't do it.
No.
Like, milk for me has to be like ice cold.
Ice cold. Yeah, absolutely.
And then the word oily.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now I'm starting to get I can see why this ain't good.
Right. Sweet and oily. Ugh. Warm,
yeah,
sweet and oily.
That's another thing. Like, I'm not one for like sweets. I'm not a candy person,
Right.
I should put a disclaimer in there, unless it's pie.
Oh, okay.
If it's pie, like apple pie, I can deal with sweet.
Nice.
But yeah, like, I'm not much for your candy bars and, sweet treats like that.
Right.
Not really my thing. So the sweet part with milk, yeah, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
And then green milk.
Okay. How was the green milk?
Well, apparently completely the opposite. So now, while I read this and I'm like, yeah, no. So for me, this would still be terrible. In fact, I'd probably prefer the other stuff.
Oh, okay.
So apparently the green milk was just regular coconut water, dyed green in post-production.
Oh, man. Really?
And he said, true story, yum.
Oh. Okay, sorry. Okay. For me.
Sorry, Mark, I lost some respect here. Like,
okay.
Like, I'm sorry, coconut water is terrible.
Well, I can say this much. I've never had coconut water, so I can't really judge coconut water, but that's only because I can't stand coconut. So
that's where I'm at. And like, I've had coconut water. Now, while coconut water doesn't taste like straight up coconut, okay? Yeah, still taste it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to deal with that.
Yeah, coconut is awful. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's one thing I can tell you right now is that in the Star Wars universe, I would have to have my own personal moisture evaporator, otherwise I would die.
Yeah.
I'd be drinking lots of water.
Coconut water?
No, just water.
Right.
That we're sucking out of the atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, wow, they dyed it green in post.
Right. That seems weird.
Man, come on, guys. Practical effects.
Right.
That just kind of cracks me up, because it's like, oh, we're going to build this big Millennium Falcon, so we have a practical Millennium Falcon. We're not going to CGI this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the green milk, yeah, totally CGI.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, does it? Wow.
Probably cheaper CGI.
Think so?
Well, you think it's more expensive to do coconut water than a Millennium Falcon?
Oh, you're. I see what you're saying.
It's cheaper CGI to do the damn milk.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, probably just been cheaper to get some green dye and throw it in the coconut milk.
Oh, no doubt. But I think so they probably did a lot more than just color it green.
Okay.
I think they probably did some consistency work
Yeah.
because they wanted it to look like milk. If it's just coconut water, it's going to be less viscous.
Right.
So they probably did a little work on that as well. Probably why they had to do, they just wanted him to not gag.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll do that in post.
Wow. Leave it to Mark.
See, but you know what I don't understand is like, why pick coconut water at that point? Why not just do, okay, you're going to do it. Why not just do water?
Right.
Or just a glass of milk.
Right.
I don't. Some of the choices really.
I don't know. Hey, that's why they're getting paid big bucks, right?
Right. But they had some extra budget laying around.
Yeah, right.
Why use tap water when you can use coconut water?
Right.
I don't know. Kind of goofy.
Like I
but
said,
I guess it's probably better. It probably is honestly better than the other stuff.
Probably.
Even though I know I wouldn't like this.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I'm going to drink it.
But, I mean, I'm not Luke Skywalker, so
Right.
It really doesn't matter what the hell I think. So
Exactly.
Hell, he probably got to choose.
Could be.
All right. I think that's about going to wrap it up.
I think so.
So, if you have anything to add or want to tell us we're crazy because we don't like coconut water, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. But you can also tell us we're crazy about coconut water on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. And you can find all of that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.